Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
A very good day. This is Preetha Wilma Dawson, Assistant Professor, College of Physiotherapy, Sathyabama Institute of Science and Technology, deemed to be a university. In today's video, we will be learning about olfaction. The sense of smell is called as olfaction. The receptor for this sense is the olfactory receptor cells. This olfactory receptor cells is situated in the olfactory mucous membrane. The olfactory mucous membrane will consist of about 10 to 20 millions of olfactory receptor cells, which is supported by the sustentacular cells. The mucosa will also contain mucus secreting Bowman glands, and the olfactory receptor is a bipolar neuron. So here you have the image of the olfactory receptor. The olfactory receptor is a bipolar cell. So the dendrite of this neuron is short and expanded. That is called as olfactory rod. As we saw in the previous slide, the dendrite of this neuron is short and expanded. It is called as olfactory rod. From the olfactory rod, there are about 10 to 12 cilia will be arising from it. These cilia are non-myelinated. The length of the cilia is of about 2 mu and the diameter is of about 0.1 mu. Next, we'll discuss about the olfactory rod. So, in the olfactory rod is getting connected to the mucous membrane. So, it is short and expanded. And the axon of this bipolar cell will be piercing the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone, and it will be going and getting synapse with the mitral cells. So, in this slide, we will be learning about what is vomeronasal organ. This vomeronasal organ is an accessory olfactory organ. So, this organ was discovered in the year 1813 by a Danish physician called Ludwig Jacobsens. Because of this name, the organ is also called as Jacobsens organ. Vomeronasal organ. This organ helps in the animal to even detect the trace of chemical quantities. The impulses from this organ will be sent to the amygdala and the hypothalamus via the olfactory bulb. Next, we learn about olfactory pathway. So, as we discussed, this olfactory neuron is a bipolar neuron. So, the dendrite is short and expanded, which is called as olfactory rod, which is getting attached to the mucous membrane, and the axons of this bipolar cells will pierce the cribriform plate, which is a part of ethmoid bone, and from there it will go and synapse with the mitral cells. So, the structure of synapse between the axon of the bipolar neuron and the mitral cell together forms a olfactory glomeruli. So, the axons from the mitral cells will go together and forms the olfactory tract. So, as the axons of the mitral cells leaves the olfactory bulb and forms the olfactory tract, the olfactory tract runs backwards and enter into the olfactory cortex through the intermediate and the lateral olfactory striae. So, this olfactory cortex will include the structure which forms the part of the limbic system. These structures are anterior olfactory nucleus, prepiriform cortex, olfactory tubercle and amygdala. And next, we'll start with the applied physiology of this olfactory system. First, what is anosmia? Anosmia refers to the complete loss of the sensation of smell. That is, the person loses the ability to recognize the sense of smell. It can be either temporary or permanent. So, temporary anosmia is due to the obstruction of nose. So, this can happen in many cases, like when we are having a common cold or nasal sinus or any allergic condition. So, in that cases, there is a transient loss of the sense of smell. So, what is permanent anosmia? So, permanent anosmia will be occurring when there is a lesion in the olfactory tract. So, the lesion occurs when there is a meningitis and in some cases of any degenerative diseases. So, degenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And next comes the hyposmia. So, hyposmia is the reduced ability to recognize the sense of smell. The odors can be detected when the concentration is of higher level. Next comes the hyperosmia. Hyperosmia is the increased or exaggerated olfactory sensation. So, it is also called as olfactory hyperthesia. This can occur in brain injury, epilepsy or in any sort of neurotic conditions. So, now we'll have a quick recap for today's session. First, we discussed about olfaction. So, we gave a brief video on the introduction of the olfactory system. Then, we discussed about the olfactory receptor cells. These receptor cells are present on the olfactory mucous membrane. And we discussed about the olfactory rod. So, the olfactory rod is the dendroid of the bipolar neuron, which is short and expanded. So, it is getting attached with the mucous membrane. Then we discussed about the Vomeronasal organ. This Vomeronasal organ is also known as Jacobson organ. It is an accessory sense organ for smell. And then we discussed about the olfactory pathway, that is the synapse of the axons of the bipolar neurons along with the mitral cells. Then we discussed about the applied physiology. In applied physiology, we learnt about anosmia, hyposmia and hyperosmia. So, we have come to the end of today's session. With this video, we have finally come to the end of the series of special senses. And thank you for watching.